In 1984, something extraordinary happened behind the tightly locked doors of the CIA. As part of their Stargate Project, an initiative designed to explore psychic phenomena for military and intelligence purposes, they launched an experiment so bizarre it still baffles even the most open-minded conspiracy theorists. The operation was called Mars Exploration. And it wasn't about sending astronauts or satellites to the red planet. Instead, it was about sending the mind. The CIA aimed to gather intelligence about Mars as it existed approximately 1 million years ago through remote viewing. Now, if you're unfamiliar, remote viewing is the alleged psychic ability to perceive distant places, objects, or even events using only the power of the mind. And this experiment wasn't a one-off. It was part of a series of highly classified experiments aimed at unlocking the human mind's hidden capabilities. But what the remote viewer saw that day, a dying Martian civilization, massive structures, and unexplainable phenomena, set the stage for one of the most eerie and controversial government experiments ever conducted. So today, we're diving deep into this strange chapter of history, unraveling the details of the CIA's Mars Exploration Project, the eerie findings, and the unsettling implications that linger to this day. If you're fascinated by mysteries, the supernatural, and government secrets, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more strange and dark stories. The Mars Exploration Experiment was part of the CIA's infamous Stargate Project, a series of investigations into psychic abilities like remote viewing, telepathy, and precognition. Originally launched during the Cold War, the U.S. government believed that if these abilities were real, they could be weaponized. After all, rumors were swirling that the Soviets were conducting similar research. For years, the Stargate Project's methods involved placing individuals in altered states of consciousness and asking them to describe distant locations or hidden objects. While skeptics dismissed it as pseudoscience, some results were so accurate that they left military officials scratching their heads. But then, in 1984, someone had an idea that pushed the limits of even the most outlandish military experiments. What if remote viewers could peer not just across space, but through time? A remote viewer, whose identity remains classified, was selected for the Mars session. They were given coordinates to focus on, but they weren't told what the coordinates represented. The experiment was conducted under strict blind conditions, meaning the viewer had no prior knowledge of the session's purpose. As the session began, the viewer described barren, reddish terrain, an environment that closely matched our modern understanding of Mars. But as they explored further, the descriptions became increasingly bizarre. The viewer spoke of massive pyramid-like structures that dwarfed anything on Earth, ancient roads that stretched endlessly, and towering monoliths etched with symbols that no human had ever seen. Then came the chilling part. The viewer claimed they were observing a civilization, a race of beings unlike anything we know today. These beings, described as tall and thin with elongated heads, were in the final stages of their existence. Their society, according to the viewer, was crumbling. "They know their time is almost up," the viewer said, almost as if sensing the despair of these ancient beings. "They're searching for a way to survive." One of the most haunting revelations from the session was the description of what happened to this civilization. The viewer claimed that Mars was undergoing a catastrophic environmental collapse. Massive storms, dwindling resources, and uninhabitable conditions had pushed these beings to the brink of extinction. Some sought refuge underground, while others tried to escape to distant worlds. In fact, the viewer described what seemed to be an interplanetary evacuation, with a portion of this Martian race leaving their dying home in massive spacecraft. And where did they go? According to the session, some fled to Earth long before humanity existed. The implications were staggering. Could these beings be connected to ancient myths about gods descending from the heavens? Were they responsible for the sudden advancements in early human civilizations, or were they simply a figment of the remote viewer's imagination? One of the most detailed parts of the session involved the massive pyramid-like structures scattered across the Martian surface. The viewer described them as energy hubs, possibly used to harness power or act as gateways, portals to other dimensions or worlds. This raised eyebrows among those who had studied similar claims about the Great Pyramid of Giza. The pyramids, according to the viewer, were abandoned, their once brilliant energy fields now dormant. But the viewer sensed something else, an ominous presence lurking within the ruins. They described hearing faint, echoing voices, as though the structures were haunted by the memories of those who had perished there. The findings from the Mars session drew eerie parallels with many ancient legends on Earth. Myths of advanced beings descending from the skies, stories of great cataclysms that wiped out entire civilizations, and even the biblical tale of fallen angels, all seemed to echo the viewer's descriptions. Could these myths be distant memories of our planet's interaction with Martian refugees? Skeptics, of course, were quick to dismiss the session as the product of imagination or subconscious influence. But the chilling accuracy of some of the details, such as the descriptions of the Martian terrain, left even the staunchest critics uneasy. The Mars exploration experiment wasn't the only unsettling incident in the Stargate Project. Over the years, remote viewers reported terrifying experiences during sessions. Some claimed they encountered shadowy entities, figures they described as malevolent watchers, who seemed aware of their presence. One remote viewer, while attempting to describe a hidden Russian military base, reported being followed back by a presence that plagued their dreams for weeks. Another session allegedly ended abruptly when a viewer began screaming, claiming they were being pulled into an abyss they couldn't escape. These accounts, though anecdotal, painted a picture of a project that may have tapped into forces beyond human comprehension. The Stargate Project was officially shut down in 1995, but much of its work, including the Mars exploration experiment, remained classified until recently. When the documents were declassified, they ignited a firestorm of debate. Was the Mars session proof of ancient extraterrestrial life? Or was it merely an elaborate psychological exercise? Even today, the implications of the Mars exploration experiment linger. If the remote viewer's account is even partially accurate, it suggests that Mars was once home to a thriving civilization, one that might still have traces of its existence buried beneath the Martian soil. The CIA's Mars exploration experiment is a story that blends the extraordinary with the unsettling, raising questions about the limits of human consciousness and the mysteries of the universe. Was this session a glimpse into a forgotten chapter of Martian history, or simply the product of an overactive mind? We may never know the full truth, but one thing is certain. The Stargate Project's experiments left behind more questions than answers, and the Mars session stands as one of its most chilling and enigmatic legacies. If you enjoyed this exploration into the strange and mysterious, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Let us know in the comments what you think. Was the CIA onto something extraordinary? Or is this just another bizarre footnote in the history of government experiments? Until next time, keep questioning the unknown, and maybe, just maybe, look to the stars for answers.